Laura Howlett is suing her ex-boyfriend, William Lloyd, for a loan to pay his taxes. William claims the money was actually a gift.
How old are you, Mr. Lloyd?
38.
What kind of work do you do?
I drive a truck.
How long have you been doing that for a living?
7 years.
Before that, what did you do?
Mechanic, auto mechanic.
Always make a living?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any family?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you have?
2 sons.
How old are they?
18 and 16.
Have you supported them over the years?
Yes, ma'am.
They don't live with you?
No, ma'am.
Pay your taxes?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this particular occasion, you owe the IRS some money.
Yes, ma'am.
Which means at some point you didn't pay all the taxes you were supposed to pay.
Somehow, during my W-2s, my dependents got messed up. That's why I owe taxes.
Well, your dependents didn't get messed up. You've always had only 2 sons, right? They weren't messed up.
No, ma'am. Talk about on the regular taxes you filled at the beginning of the year. I had more dependents on it than what I should have. That's why I owe taxes.
Well, when you had more dependents, where did you get them from?
Ma'am, I only have 2 children.
Right. So how could you have more dependents?
I filled out the paper wrong for my taxes.
Fine. And whose problem was that?
That was mine.
And whose mistake was that?
That was mine.
Whose bad was that?
That was my bad.
And Miss Howlett, this is your case.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
And he had this debt to the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
You paid the debt according to the IRS for him.
I did.
And you want him to pay you back. And Mr. Lloyd says it was very nice of you to pay that debt, but it was a gift. You took that upon yourself, and he has no intention of paying you back.
Not at all. No.
So how long did you know him before you paid this debt?
We started dating in May 2006, and I paid the debt August 24th, 06.
You a working lady?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a dispatcher.
Trucks?
Yes, for a petroleum company.
Is that the trucking company he works for?
No.
No, ma'am.
Mm-mm.
Sorry.
Do you ever watch this program?
I do.
When you watch this program and you see women standing in the position that you're in,
I know.
and you say to yourself, how could they be so stupid? What did they see in him? Why would they want to take their hard-earned money and give it to that piece of nothing? I would never do anything so stupid. Didn't you say that to yourself?
I did, and I'd say it to myself now about myself.
So tell me how it came about.
We started dating May 06. We got serious pretty quick. I discussed with him moving in with me when his lease was up September 15th.
Okay.
Yes. He kept getting the bill from the IRS that he had made a payment plan.
He made a payment plan with the IRS?
With the IRS, yes.
What was your payment plan with the IRS?
$100 a month.
That sounds great, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened?
I was making $100 payments a month.
And were you living together at the time?
By the second payment, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry.
And she saw you making this $100 payment.
Yes, ma'am. When I would go over to her house, I would give her $100 cash.
So you would give her $100 in cash?
Yes, ma'am. And then she would pay it over the computer. Just simpler than send it by.
To the IRS?
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
good. Go ahead.
And then the third payment, of which we're here for now, for I don't know why, she was on a computer, and I asked her if she would make my payment for me. And she said, yeah, when she got done what she was doing. And so I was sitting on the couch watching TV, so I said, I'll be up there in a few minutes, and I'll give you the money. So I watched TV, and I went upstairs and gave her the $100. And I don't know exactly what she verbatim, but she had paid it off, my whole entire balance that I owed the IRS. I never asked her to, I never begged her to, I never even brought it up.
Good. So you had the $100 in your hand.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do with the $100?
I gave her the $100.
Did she take it?
I believe so.
Oh, so she paid the $21.97 to the IRS, and you gave her $100, which she accepted because you were paying her instead of paying the IRS.
Right, for my $100 payments.
Right. Keep going.
After I gave her the $100, I assumed that she made a $100 payment, just like she had done for me before.
Right.
And then turned around and she had paid it off.
So?
I never asked her to, I never...
No. And what happened the next month? Did you give her $100 next month?
No, ma'am.
Did she ask you for it?
That month, I believe I had moved out by that time.
Oh, did you try to give her the $100?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
'Cause I didn't
You gave
like-
her the $100 the month before when she had paid off the whole thing, and she took it?
I gave her the $100 before I knew that she had paid off
Yeah,
it
but
off in
sir,
full.
then you understood, because she accepted the $100, that instead of her going on her computer every month to pay the IRS, she paid it off, and you would pay her back the $100 a month.
No, ma'am. I paid her $100, assuming that she was making a $100 payment for me.
But she accepted it. Didn't you hear me?
Yes. But I had made the payment after the fact she had told me she had paid it off. If I asked her to pay it off, why would I set the payment plan with her when I already had it with the IRS? You understand what I'm saying?
Mr. Lloyd.
Yes, ma'am.
Who screwed up with the IRS?
Most of the people at the IRS.
No. Who screwed up with the people at the IRS? I'm talking to you. Who screwed up with the IRS? Say, I did, Your Honor.
As far as making these payments?
Who screwed up with the IRS?
I did, Your Honor.
That's right. And who owed the IRS money?
I did at the time.
And who was it that spent the money that they didn't pay in taxes that they should have? Who would that be?
That would be me.
Pay your own taxes.
Yes, ma'am.
You do a crime, you pay your own penalty. You owe the IRS money. There are certain things that are positive in this life, sir. One is death.
And taxes.
And taxes. Everybody has to pay them. What kind of pain is there if somebody else pays your taxes? Do not answer me, sir. If you get away without paying your taxes, sir, by saying, well, she paid it off, so I don't have to pay the IRS back $100 a month until they're all paid off, what lesson does that teach you? What lesson does that teach you?
That you shouldn't let nobody else try to do a favor for you and pay your own bills. I never asked her to do this.
Are you paying careful attention to me, Mr.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Lloyd? You don't ask somebody to do your prison time for you, and you don't ask somebody else to pay your taxes for you. And if they do so because you had a payment plan with the IRS, and somebody says, look, I'm going to be a nice person, instead of us going through this drill every month, you give me the $100, which she took, clearly, when she paid off the whole bill, in anticipation of every month you paying her $100. Instead, you moved out. You owe $2,097 because you paid the $100. Goodbye. Listen to me. Watch better next time.
I will. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Scott Sanders says ex-girlfriend Courtney Braccio owes for the return of an iPod and for an unpaid loan. Courtney admits that Scott gave her the money, but claims it was never a loan.
Mr. Sanders, who is this young lady?
This is my daughter, Caitlin.
Okay. This is your complaint. I assume it's really about a loan that you made to her.
It's about both, ma'am, the iPod and the money.
You were dating,
Not at the time. We were not dating.
but you were friends.
Yes.
You had been dating, then you remained friends. So you claim a loan of an iPod and then a loan of some cash because she said that she was financially strapped.
Yes, ma'am.
And she has 2 children. You felt sorry for her, so you loaned her some money. She has not paid you back that money, nor, according to you, returned the iPod. When did you have a relationship with her, and when was that over?
The relationship started online in a chat room back in January of '06. We actually started seeing each other approximately April of '06, and we quit the physical part of the relationship in approximately October of '06. We remained friends. There was a situation where she was actually living with somebody else, and I was not comfortable with her constantly saying she was going to leave this guy, leave this guy. I said, you know, I ain't doing this anymore then. You got to or get off the pot. She didn't, so I made a decision, you know, we'll be friends. She talked about to myself and my daughter, she cared about me, she wanted us to be together. I said, well, you know, when you decide to move on, let me know. And we continued to be friends, talked on the phone, online quite a bit. And that December, I had come into some money, and I decided to buy myself things I'd wanted for a long time.
Okay, so in December of '06, one of the things you bought yourself was an iPod.
Yep.
Okay, when did you give it to her?
The day I bought it, I was in Grand Rapids, where she lived. We live about 35 minutes apart.
The day you bought it, you gave it to her in December of 2006.
Yes. I am not computer savvy. I said, you know, I got this thing, I want it, but I'm not sure how to get music on it. I've got a friend, he can download this. She knows a lot more about this stuff than I did.
What took you a year and a half to get the iPod back?
Well, she claimed it was stolen in January of '07 out of her car.
Just a second. What took you a year and a half to sue her?
I actually decided to sue her in January of this past year, a year later.
Why?
Because she continually did not pay me back.
Just a second.
Yes.
You're his daughter?
Yeah.
How old are you?
11.
Do you have an iPod?
No.
Does your dad have an iPod?
I don't know.
Does your dad have an iPod?
Yes.
I have an iPod?
Shh. Just.
Sorry, Your Honor.
That's what she said.
I don't have an iPod.
Then you don't need one. If in December of '06 you bought an iPod and a month later she told you that the iPod was stolen, and this is something that you always wanted, Mr. Sander, listen to me very carefully, sir. If something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. You sure you want your daughter here?
Absolutely.
Fine. If one of the things that you purchased, one of the things you always wanted in your whole life was an iPod, and you purchased it in December of '06, and you gave it to her in December of '06, and she said it was lost in January of '07, and you claim now, she says no, but you claim now that you do not have another iPod, an adult like you would have replaced it in the year and a half that you didn't have it if it was something that you always wanted in your whole life, because, Mr. Sander, they're not that expensive. I just bought 3 of them as gifts. They're very cheap. You would have in the last year and a half replaced it. Let's get on with the loan, sir, which is where I wanted to go at the beginning.
Well, ma'am, that's
Let's get on with the loan.
She promised to pay me back for that
Let's get on
iPod.
with the loan.
I have the information where she promised, ma'am.
Let's get on with the loan.
Very well.
When was the loan?
There were 5 loans made.
Starting when?
In January of '07.
How much?
The total was, I don't have the total actually written down in front of me. It was around $700.
You're coming to court. You're supposed to be prepared, Mr. Sander.
Well, I have all the dates on the loans were made.
Can I see his bank statements?
I had to withdraw cash. She does not have a checking account. She asked me to give her cash. If Your Honor will notice that all
Just
the
a
loans.
second.
Yes, ma'am.
What are all these checks?
Those are just part of the statement on that particular month. I only pay my bills by check. Everything else I use a debit or a credit card on. I have no reason to withdraw cash.
Everybody has a reason to withdraw cash, sir. How much money did he give you?
I would say a couple hundred, like maybe 3 or so. It wasn't 700. I know that.
Well, you have outlined, dating back to January of '07, $950 without the fees.
You also notice, Your Honor, that I live in Muskegon. Those were all on Alpine in Grand Rapids near her hometown. I was there seeing her, loaning her the money, except for the one on Sherman Avenue, which is in Muskegon. I was on my way there. I stopped by my bank.
You say you have proof that she acknowledges the loan of this money.
My daughter overheard conversations on my side of it where I said, let's get together, we need to talk about you paying me back. The agreement was once she got a job. She didn't get a job until October of '07. And I said, take a month to get on your feet. I understand. That's fine, but you've got to start paying me back this money.
Go ahead.
My daughter and her were close at one time. And finally in January of '08, we went to where she worked, had a conversation with her. Again, she promised to come over to my daughter and myself. No call, no show. And that's why I said, I'm done waiting for this. This is the next course I got to take.
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't know. He did give me money, but I didn't say I'd pay him back. And he has stalked me before. And it kind of creeped me out, so that's why I think...
Do you take care of children?
I have 2 kids, yes.
You take care of them?
Yes, I have them every day.
How old are they?
My oldest will be 4, my youngest is 2.
And where is their father?
He works.
Does he live with you?
Not now, no.
And where are your parents?
My mom lives by me, my dad's dead. My mom is around. She actually watches my kids every day while I work.
Okay, Mr. Sander, forget the iPod that you gave her in December as an early Christmas present. She owes you $800. That's what you're suing for. I think that you probably made a big mistake.
That goes without saying, Your Honor.
Okay, so you seem like an intelligent man. And what do you do for a living?
The money I got was through a back injury. I can no longer and I do boat rehabbing now. We myself and a partner buy boats, fix them up, and resell them. That's
Make
about
a
it.
living at that?
Not really, but it's a hobby. I can work at my own pace. My back limits me to what I can do every day. I can work 15 minutes, sit down for 20, work 15, sit down for 20. So it's kind of at my own pace, and it's kind of nice. And it keeps me out of the house because walls start creeping in when you're there all the time because you can't really do anything.
You get disability?
I've applied for SS, Social Security.
If you can build boats, sir, you're not going to get disability insurance. You understand that? Yeah, right. Boat builders usually don't get disability insurance. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Thank you.
Roberta Schumann is suing her ex-boyfriend, Scott Beer, for a loan to buy a Harley-Davidson. Scott says Roberta stopped paying rent, so he owes her nothing.
Ms. Schumann, Mr. Beer and you were in a relationship for a period of time. You also lived with him for a period of time in his home. You claim that you made a loan to him so that he... Now, Mr. Beer acknowledges that you made this loan to him.
Correct.
He says that subsequently you moved in with him and you agreed to pay rent, which you didn't pay.
Correct.
And you made a new arrangement whereby he would pay your portion of the rent that you had agreed to pay and deduct that from the loan. And by the time he told you to leave, you had done several things. First, you stole a money jar from him, which you acknowledged that you did because you were annoyed. And then there were some other small items that ate into this loan. But you claim that there was never an agreement with regard to the rent in exchange for the loan.
That is correct.
Okay. On what date did you make the loan?
Well, there was two. There was 2 dates. One was 11.
One right after the other. I know. Give me the 2 dates.
Like April of 2007.
And when did you move in with Mr. Beer?
May 15th.
Right afterwards.
Yes.
Where had you been living?
I lived in my own townhouse in Blaine.
What did you do with your townhouse?
I sold it. I found out 3 days before I was moving in with Mr. Beer that he was sleeping with my best friend.
I don't care about that. You want to discuss that, go someplace else. It has nothing to do with me. You sold your townhouse, you moved in with him. What was the rent agreement?
$300 per person is what he charged his other tenants when they lived there before. It was a couple. He charged them $600.
And how much were you supposed to pay in rent?
He assumed $600.
No. What did you discuss?
It was $600 when my son was supposed to come and live with us. My son never came and lived with us. I never even had a key to the door.
I don't care whether you had a key to the door. You slept there, correct?
Correct.
And there was an agreement to pay rent. All I'm trying to do is figure out how much. How much, sir?
$600 for the basement.
Is that where she was living?
Yep.
She wasn't staying with you?
Most of the time.
What does that mean?
Off and on, she'd stay up in my place. But I mean, it was run of the house, too.
Where were her clothes?
In the basement.
Is it a legal apartment in the basement?
Yeah, it's a regular house.
And you had had a couple there living before?
Yes.
And how much was the rent before?
$600.
Okay.
Your Honor.
What?
There was also an extra bedroom downstairs in the basement that was never used while I lived there.
I don't care. I mean, I didn't get a legitimate answer from you, so I asked him. Okay. So you moved in May 13th, is that correct?
Yes.
How much was the loan for the motorcycle?
$3,100.
Okay, now you stole $100 from him in coins, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so now he owes you $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
You moved in on May 13th. When did you pay rent for the first time?
The actual, when I gave him the lump sum, I gave him $1,700 in July, and then 3 days after that, I gave him $600 for the rent that he claims...
Just a second. You gave him $3,000 according to you for the motorcycle. I have deducted the $100 that you stole from him.
Mm-hmm.
You moved in May 13th. When did you pay rent for the first time? What month?
It would have been June, but my account closed.
So did you or did you not pay rent for June?
I did in July.
How many months did you live there?
Half of May, June, July. I moved out August.
When you moved out, did you take all your property?
No, I did not.
What property did you leave there?
My kitchen table, everything furnished his house. If I would have known...
Listen to me. Downstairs, in the basement, what items of furniture did you leave there?
A bed, a couch, and a TV.
Under what circumstances did you leave that stuff?
Because he threw me out. I had no key to the house. He threw me out. The end of August, I packed my bag. I stayed with a friend in Minneapolis.
Until when?
Until November 12th was when I moved out. I had surgery on my leg, November 10th.
Okay. Did you subsequently rent the basement to your townhouse?
I didn't rent my basement until January, I think. The first time I had somebody come in.
And when did you move out, Miss Beer? August what?
August 24th is when he bought the house.
So you owe him for 3.5 months' rent.
But he told me that my stuff was there in storage. If I wanted to, I could have put it in a storage, which was $85 a month.
I don't care if it was 80. I said you owe him so far 3.5 months' rent for the time you were living there. Mm-hmm. Half of May, June, July, and August. That's 3.5 months that you didn't pay. Or
Yes,
did you
I did.
pay?
Yes, I did, in July.
Did you pay him in July?
Yes, I
Did
did.
the check clear?
It was money orders that I had because he would only accept cash, which I agreed with that.
Well, because you gave him a bad check once.
It was a closed account.
Well, a closed account is a bad check. Did she subsequently pay you?
I have never seen that.
You've
Any
never
money?
seen the cash.
No, I
Okay,
did not.
so show me. Don't talk
Oh,
to
my
him.
God.
Talk to me. Show me what you claim you paid him for July.
July 24th, I paid him $1,700 cash because he said that these checks, which he had reserved
Show me.
one, I had cash. He wouldn't take anything but cash. And then 3 days later, I paid him for August rent, which was $600.
Did you own a townhouse?
Yes.
You're a businesswoman.
Yes,
If you
I'm
own
a
a
real
townhouse,
estate
or you're a businesswoman. If you're a real estate agent and things aren't going well, then you don't give him cash. I don't believe that you gave him cash without a receipt. Did you get a receipt?
No, I did not.
Yeah, then I don't believe you.
I had a check that was revolving. This was my business account.
I don't believe you. You're a businesswoman, a real estate agent. Real estate agents don't pay cash for their rent, especially when they write out a check for a closed account. They may pay rent, and then they say, may I have a receipt, please, because I need that for my records.
Well, every single day that I came home, he would lock the door because I didn't have a key.
Then move out. Then move out. How old are you?
I tried. It costed me almost $700 to get a mover to come in there. If
My
I would
dear,
have known
you just told me you gave him $1,700 in cash.
I did.
If you didn't have a key to the house and things were miserable, then you move out.
He made my life miserable. As soon as I got there, I wanted to get out.
Very good. Is there any reason why you didn't rent that apartment after she moved out?
Well, at first, her stuff was in the way. I mean,
What
it's pretty...
stuff?
Oh, please,
Her
who
couch,
used my stuff?
What stuff?
Her couch, her bed.
Well, that's all
But
right. You can
I
move
mean,
somebody in there. You rent it furnished.
Exactly, but she also said that while she was gone, that she just needed a month to get her stuff moved out. I said, all right, I'm gonna start charging you rent. Well, then it was 2 months after that her stuff was still there. So, I mean, yes, I finally
storage
did.
Fee. If I would have known that, it would have been $85 a month to move my stuff into storage. He agreed to leave my stuff there until I could find a place to live.
That's fine. You still owe him for rent, which I don't believe you paid. What else?
And then when she did move out, I got damages of my doors.
Did you file a counterclaim, sir?
I did not.
Then I can't help you.
All right, but how about for my Harley-Davidson jacket that she took back from me?
Do you have a
threw it on
counterclaim,
the
sir?
garbage and said I didn't want it.
Am I speaking to you? Do you file a counterclaim, sir?
No, I did not.
Then I cannot help you.
Okay.
So far, you owe her $900
Okay.
on the loan. Got it?
Yep.
I've given you credit for 3.5 months' rent, which I don't believe she paid, and which she agreed to pay. Got it?
Okay.
Do you have your bike?
I have my bike.
Good. That's all. Thank you.
Jennifer Berry is suing her former friend and roommate, 24-year-old Christina Washington, for unpaid rent and punitive damages. Christina claims Jennifer forced her out of the apartment.
Miss Barry, you and Miss Washington decided to rent an apartment together. You rented the apartment, didn't work out. It is your claim that Miss Washington moved out of the apartment without notice to you. You want her to pay her portion of February and March's rent, plus punitive damages, which you don't get, plus fees that you were charged because of possible eviction. And Miss Washington says that you forced her out because you told her that you were raising her portion of the rent and that things became intolerable, which is why she moved. Okay. When did you sign the lease on this apartment?
June of 2007.
What was the monthly rent?
It was $725, Your Honor.
$725?
Yes.
Who was going to be living in the apartment?
Myself, Miss Washington, and my son.
How old is your son?
He's 9.5.
How many bedrooms were there?
3.
You had one?
Yes.
She had one?
Yes.
And your son had one?
Yes.
How were you dividing the rent?
It was supposed to be 50-50.
That's false.
Well, that shouldn't have been 50-50. You should have been paying 2/3 because you were using 2 of the bedrooms.
It was under my impression when we moved down here, Your Honor, that she said she was fine paying half, but she
That is
had
completely
to.
false.
Well, evidently she doesn't feel that way. Now, her answer says that you agreed that you would pay 2/3 of the rent because you had a master bedroom and you had one of the guest bedrooms?
Yes.
And your son had one of the guest bedrooms?
Yes.
So it is only logical that she would pay 1/3 of the rent, or $241. How much rent did you pay in July?
$245, and then it went down 20 because
$245. August, September, how much did you pay during those months?
the same until probably about September.
Then,
That's
according to
incorrect,
Ms.
Your Honor.
Washington, there came a time when the plaintiff said that she was raising your rent.
That was in December.
Tell me about that.
It was right before Christmas, and I came home from my second job, and there was a Post-it note on my bed saying that starting February 1st of 2008, it was going to be split 50-50.
Did you put that Post-it on?
Yes, I did. Every time I tried to talk to her, she didn't really.
Just a second. July, August, September, October, November, 5 months she had given you 1/3 of the rent.
No, that is not correct. She paid more than that.
How much
She
did
paid $350 in August, and every month after that, she paid $325.
$325, it's not half of $725.
Correct. When we moved down here, she stated that once I get settled in, I'm fine paying half. That's okay.
That's
Because the
false.
only reason we got a
Okay.
3-bedroom
Well, then there was a
because
clearly...
she agreed
okay,
to that.
very fine. So what I'm telling you is I have to view this as a contract between the two of you. And since there was clearly no meeting of the mind between the two of you as to how much each of you were going to pay, there was no contract. So she moved out in January or February? January. When did you give her notice that you were moving out?
I tried to talk to her right after the new
Trying
year.
to talk to her, you don't have to try to talk to her.
Okay.
You can write her
The
a letter.
second
Did you
then-
write her a letter?
No.
Okay.
I tried
Did
to
you
talk
just
to her over the phone, and she hung up on me.
Did
No.
you just move out?
No, I told her I was leaving because I didn't agree to the...
What date in January did you tell her you were leaving?
Probably the 2nd.
January 2nd?
And I moved out the 5th.
That's incorrect, Your Honor.
She owes you her third of February's rent.
She didn't pay January's rent either.
You didn't pay January's
No, I
rent?
didn't, because I wasn't going to pay the half.
Oh, well, you have to pay your third. You have to pay your third of January, and you have to pay a third of February, because that's also reasonable and fair to give 30 days notice so she can find somebody else, if she wants to find somebody else to rent the room to.
Okay.
That's what you have to do.
Your Honor, I wanted to argue about the third of the rent.
You can argue all you like.
Okay.
If you thought she's supposed to pay a half, and she never paid half.
She paid $350.
She never paid half. Even $350 is not half. And she says she believes she should be paying a third. I believe she should be paying a third. Let's say if you had your son and you had 2 small bedrooms and you said, look, I'll take a small bedroom, my son will take a small bedroom, and you can have the master bedroom. Even that's reasonable. But you have the master bedroom and you have another bedroom and you want her to pay 2/3. It's unreasonable. Now, the next thing I want to know is, what fees did you have to pay and why to the landlord?
On January of the 28th, I have the eviction notice. I had to pay $1,075 in order to stay.
And what was that for?
It was $725 rent, $200 in legal fees because they filed the eviction notice, and I have a copy of that right here.
Well, show me where it was $200 for legal fees.
Okay, it's in the lease.
No, I just want to see that $200 of that $1,075 went for legal fees.
Okay, it's right here, Your Honor. And then here's the receipts that I paid it.
Okay.
The original amount I was supposed to pay was $1,075, and I couldn't afford the whole $1,075. I had to scrape pennies out of my son's piggy bank to get the $1,070.
It was $200 for the filing of the eviction notice, which she owes you half of because she didn't give you sufficient notice in order to find somebody else if you wanted to find somebody else to live with.
It's hard to find someone else when I'm a single mom. I've got my kids at home.
What
Nobody
do
wants
I
to
want?
move in with a
She had her
single mom.
boyfriend there all the time.
Just a second.
Helping her with
Just
stuff.
shh. Don't speak out. I don't like when you speak out. That's not my problem. That's not her problem. You didn't have a contract with her. You had a
According
contract.
to the rental agency, a half and half is what's on the lease.
You and she did not have an agreement as to how much she should be paying in rent and how much you should be paying. And based upon common sense, it doesn't make sense for her to pay half when you have 2 people living in your house who have 2 of the bedrooms in a 3-bedroom house.
I
Doesn't
didn't
make
have-
sense. She
No.
owes you $583. She owes her share of the month of January when she was there for at least part of the month, that's for sure. And I believe she should have given you 30 days notice, giving you an opportunity to find someone else. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $583. Thank you, that's all.
Jessica Lager says former friends Brent and Nick Boots vandalized her car by jumping on the hood and...
Thank you, Bert. Ms. Lager, these 2 young men used to be friends of yours, and it is your claim that some time ago they vandalized your car while they were probably drunk, acting like fools. What's your last name?
Boots.
And yours?
Boots.
Are you brothers?
Yes, we are.
The Boots brothers?
Yep. Yeah.
You ought to make a movie out of it. Boots brothers. They say it wasn't them. When did this happen, Miss Lager?
On my 21st birthday, June 3rd, 2006.
And where was your car at the time?
It was at my boyfriend's mother's house, Denelda Foley's.
That would be you?
Yes.
Could you stand up? Because you weren't there.
Correct, I was not there.
When had you parked your car in front of your boyfriend's mother's house?
Well, I was letting her borrow it for quite some time because her vehicle was getting fixed at the time.
What kind of car did you have?
It's a 2001 Nabira Daewoo.
Could you keep your voice up? I'm old.
It was a 2001 Nabira Daewoo.
What is that?
It's a 4-door silver
Nabira?
vehicle. Nabira.
Where is that made?
I believe Korea, but I'm not sure.
I never heard of it. I'm so pleased that you didn't. I'm sure it's a lovely car.
It was a lovely car.
Ms. Foley, do you remember June 3rd, 2006?
Yes.
I knew you were home on June 3rd,
Yes.
2006. Which one of the Boots boys is going to speak?
I will.
And what is your first name?
Brent.
And yours?
My name's Nick.
No, I think I want Nick to speak. Now, Nick, how far do you live from Miss Foley?
Only like 2 blocks.
You have any reason to be near Miss Foley's house?
I'm best friends with their kid.
Keep your voice up, Nick.
I'm best friends with their son,
What's her son's name?
Bart.
Is that person here today?
Nah, he's not.
Your younger brother?
Yeah, it was my younger brother.
How long have you been friends?
Since I was like 2.
Tell me about June 2006.
Well,
No. Don't look there. Don't look there.
Well, we were at her house, and sorry. We were at her house, like having a party or whatever, chilling, just a get together.
How many people were there?
Just like 4 of us.
Which 4? The 2 Boots boys?
Her. And then my girlfriend was there, and then her son was there.
There were 5 of you there. That would be 5. Let's count
Or
them.
other than me.
Nick, you want to count them? That would be 5 altogether, right? And when had you started chilling?
I'm not sure what time it was.
Around 9 or so, I'd say. 8 or 9.
And then what happened, Nick?
We were just drinking and whatnot, and then we left.
Drinking. What were you drinking?
Vodka.
Where did you get the vodka from?
I believe.
Nope. Don't speak unless I speak to you. I want Nick. Don't speak. Where did you get the vodka from?
I believe it was from her, because it was
From
her
who?
21st birthday. Jessica.
Was she home?
No.
Well, where did you get the vodka from?
We met up with them earlier on that day.
And she gave you a bottle of vodka?
Well, she purchased it for us. We gave her the money.
So you gave Miss Lager the cash, and she went into a liquor store and purchased how much vodka?
A liter.
A liter. That's a big bottle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
And what were you mixing the liter with?
We were just taking shots and drinking pop.
Shots and pop.
Shots and pop, yes.
And then what happened?
Nothing. We all had fun, and then once the night was over, we all went home.
I didn't see Miss Lager's car.
No.
Miss Lager, did you purchase vodka for them?
No, I did not. No, I do not purchase vodka for underage minors.
Why do you think furry?
To make it look good for themselves.
Nah. They could have just said, you know, they found it. So I believe that you purchased it for them.
It was my 21st birthday. Why would I purchase alcohol for them?
I have no idea, because they were with your boyfriend's little brother.
I wasn't even near them all day. I was with my mother all day.
Okay. Miss Foley, tell me what you saw on June 3rd with regard to the Boots boys and Miss Lager's car.
I was at home. My son Bartley came up late that night and said, Mother, Brent and Nick are out kicking in Jesse's car. You need to come out and make him stop. So I went down, I looked out the landing. Brent was on the hood of the car, the roof of the car.
Brent, why couldn't you let Nick go on the hood of the car?
So I went down 2 more flights of stairs. By the time I got out there, Brent was off of the car, standing by the passenger mirror. Nick was standing in front of the car trying to kick the headlight. And he had stated to me that he had kicked the headlight and it didn't break. And Brent said he kicked the mirror off, but it didn't come off all the way. And I asked him why they were doing that, and they were mad at Jessica, I guess, at the time, so...
Why were you mad at Jessica?
We were mad at Jessica, but...
Well, tell me why you were mad at her. I just want to know why you were mad at her.
Stole a digital camera from my ex-girlfriend out of our house.
Oh, then I don't believe that she bought you alcohol. There you go. See what happened? If you were mad at her, why would you give her money to buy you alcohol on the same day?
She was always around anyways.
Oh.
Because I used to be best friends with him over there, her boyfriend.
We all hung out every day.
Now, she's the mother of your really good friend, right?
Yes.
So you know her for a long time.
Most of my
You
life.
go to her house? Put your hand down. You go to her house?
Every day, practically.
She sometimes gives you a sandwich?
Yeah.
You know?
I eat over there occasionally, I could say.
So you think there's any reason why she would lie about you?
No, I wouldn't see a reason why she would.
Why would she lie about her son's best friend, who she sees every day of his life, who she's very good to? Why would she lie about him?
I don't know.
Do you understand my problem here, Nick?
Yes, I do.
You know where I'm coming from?
Sort of, yeah.
Are you twins?
No.
Who's older?
I'm older.
What about your older brother here? Did he ever go over to Miss Foley's house?
Yep.
Eat at her house?
We didn't really know much people in the area, so we were there all the time.
And Miss Foley was always nice to you?
Most of the time, yes.
Can you think of any reason why she would tell such a horrendous lie about you vandalizing a car that she was driving? Huh?
Maybe because Jessica's gonna give her some money for it or something.
No. Then you would have to say that she's a liar and a thief.
She is.
Miss Foley?
Oh, not Miss Foley, but Jessica.
I'm talking about Miss Foley.
No, she's not a
Miss
thief.
Foley is the one who identified you, not Miss Lager. You want to look at Miss Foley and tell her she's a liar?
On this
Nick!
point, yes.
You want to look at Miss Foley and tell her she's a liar? You followed your brother.
Yeah.
No, say this. Miss Foley, you're a liar.
I wish she wouldn't lie, that's what.
Uh-huh. Evidently, you were a better friend than your older brother because you couldn't say it. Now, when you do something wrong, you're supposed to fess up. Now, it's possible that you two morons don't remember because you were drinking a liter of vodka what you did on the night of June 3rd. That's possible. How old are you?
I'm 19.
And you?
21.
Can I see an estimate on fixing your car and photographs, please? Are you still friendly with her younger son?
Not really.
Was he also involved? Well, you don't know. Was your youngest son involved in this?
He didn't, nope.
Was he? Just a second.
No, he did not do anything to the car.
Did you want to say something?
I was going to say I thought you were talking about him, but I am friends with her youngest son, yes.
No, I asked if her youngest son did anything to this car.
No, he wasn't there. He was upstairs the whole time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did you hear what he said? He said no, he wasn't there. He was upstairs all the time. You just let him go and go and go, and after a while, they just, you know.
See, they'll sign off.
They just sign off on it, right?
It was in an accident.
Yeah, her car was in an accident before that, and it was all dented, and she was trying to say that we did all that when it couldn't possibly.
How much did you do?
I didn't do nothing.
Well, yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Now, if you said to me, listen, we got a little drunk, and we acted stupid around the car, but a lot of this damage was done before.
This stuff happens all the time in our area.
What, that you jump on the hood of a car?
No.
I asked you a question. Your brother couldn't say it. If Miss Foley identified you two boys who were lifelong friends of one of her children, there would have to be a reason. Because when people identify someone who's caused damage to their property, they want the right people punished. They don't want the wrong people punished. They want the right people to pay for the damage. Now, if she had some axe to grind with you, I could understand it. But you've given me no motive for her to lie about it.
She wasn't even there. This is completely false and erroneous. And
yeah, no, you're erroneous.
No.
You're erroneous and irrelevant. Erroneous and irrelevant.
And the car's not even worth that much to be.
You're absolutely right. How much did you pay for the car?
Around $7,000.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give you $11,000 to fix it.
No, I don't.
No. You could go buy yourself a new car.
Car can't even drive down the road straight. You let go of the wheel and you'll
Listen,
be in the
you
ditch.
couldn't walk straight. That's not up to you, young man. That's not up to you. When you damage somebody's property, you take it as you take it. That's it. And when you act like a fool, that's why they don't let people drink until they're 21 years old, because even 21-year-olds are morons. 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds are double morons. They shouldn't even be allowed out of the house after 9 o'clock at night. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Elizabeth Whitaker claims former friend Danielle Kahneman stole $800 from her duffel bag. Danielle says Elizabeth spent the $800 on drugs.
Miss Whitaker, the defendant was your best friend, and it is your claim that she stole $800 out of a duffel bag. In that duffel bag was also some sort of hair straightening device, so you're suing her for the value of that. First of all, why was there cash in a duffel bag?
Because we were out all day long, so I left the cash in the duffel bag so that I didn't lose it, because $800 is a lot to have carrying around.
What was $800 doing in your duffel bag?
I had used it to get my car fixed. My boyfriend had lent it to me so I could fix my car.
When did your boyfriend give you $800 to fix your car?
He's over in Iraq right now, so he had sent me his ATM card with his PIN number, so he had let me withdraw the money from the ATM.
Why didn't you leave the money home?
Because I hadn't been home in the time that I had withdrew the money.
Oh, you said, I withdrew the money on approximately 5 separate occasions.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm asking you is, why didn't you leave the money home? The answer is not that you weren't home. You were home in between those 5 different days that you deposited the money.
No, ma'am, I was not. I was with Danielle the entire time. I had not been home once.
Over how many days did you withdraw the money?
2, the 13th and the 14th of March.
So you were keeping it in the duffel bag to fix your car?
Yes, ma'am. The duffel bag was at Danielle's house the entire time.
Why are you looking so ridiculously funny?
I'm not. I just think it's funny because it's not. None of it's true. I'm just. I just know that none of it's true, so I'm just listening to what she's saying.
Who else lives in Danielle's house?
At the time, only her sister's boyfriend.
What's your sister's boyfriend's name?
Zach.
Why was he staying with you?
It's my sister and her boyfriend's house. She moved in when they started dating. Now they're engaged.
So you were staying with them?
Yes, I was living with my sister in Spring Hill.
They weren't living with her. She moved in with her sister and her sister's boyfriend.
Yes.
On what date did you find the duffel bag missing?
The 15th, we'd had a fight. My duffel bag was still at her house. She had spent the night at my house the previous night. We had a fight, so I made her leave. And like 20 minutes after, I realized. So I called her, and she told me that I wasn't getting it back.
Okay, you made her leave. What did you say to her?
We just got into a fight. We were screaming at each other, and she just left. And I told her, just get out.
What did you say when you called her 20 minutes later?
I just told her that because I had clothes and my hair straightener and everything, I just told her that I needed it all back, and she told me.
No, just a second. Did you say anything about cash?
No, ma'am.
You just said my duffel bag is there and I have stuff in it?
Yes.
What did you say? Tell me what
just
you
that
said.
my duffel bag was still there and I needed it back.
And what did she say?
She told me that I wasn't going to get it back.
Why did you say that to her?
I did not say that to her
Yes,
at
you
all.
did. There's
No,
no
I
question
didn't.
in my mind you said that to
No,
her.
ma'am,
Can I
there's
say
no question
something?
in my
Not
mind
yet.
that I didn't say it. There was no phone calls. There was about 6 text messages first on the phone, and then it was followed by her calling me and threatening me.
Okay, well,
So
what did the
there,
text?
I didn't call her at all.
I didn't say you called her.
Okay.
I didn't say you called her.
No, I know.
You're not paying attention.
I just said
You're
she
not
called
paying
me.
it-
I was just letting you know she was the one that called me.
That's what she said.
Okay. I was just confirming the fact that she was right, that she did call me. Oh, my God.
Something wrong with your affect. Pay attention.
No.
Put on your listening ears. What did you say when she called you and told you about the duffel bag?
She didn't say anything about the duffel bag.
What did she call you for?
She told, when we were previously at her house, she mentioned something.
No. When
She
you had a fight and
Okay.
you left.
Yeah.
Listen to me very
Uh-huh.
carefully. When you had a fight and you left, she called you. That you just told me happened. What did she say when she called you?
She come back to the house, said she was going to stab me. It had nothing to do about the duffel bag.
She said, come back to the house because I'm going to stab you?
Yeah. And I called, and then after her phone call, I called up her mother and let her know that she called me and said that. This is my best friend since I was about 5 years old. I went to his house. I was crying, upset. It's about 25 minutes back to my sister's house. I didn't want to drive back there upset. I knew, you just don't want to drive when you're upset. So I stopped at his house, and that was about the time she did like 6 text messages, and about 5 minutes after I got to his house, he was actually sitting there when she made that phone call. And then I called her mother, and I actually called the police, and I told them that I didn't have time to do a full report because I had to get back up to my sister's house to have her car back so she could get to work. But I told them that I was scared and that I just wanted to call in and at least let them know and give them the names. And they said, okay.
Where's her duffel bag?
Her duffel bag was still at my house. But it takes about 25 minutes there and back, so I didn't want to go all the way back up there and then come back. Told her
I
she
just
could come.
asked you a question. Where
Yeah.
was the duffel bag?
It was still at my house.
And what happened when you got to your house?
Got to my house. My sister used her car, and I stayed there.
What did you do with the duffel bag?
It stayed there. I didn't touch the duffel bag.
How did your sister get hold of her hair straightener?
Because I lived there. About 2 days later, I moved out, and I left it there by accident. And my sister
Just a
hadn't
second.
brought it back yet.
Okay.
But I don't.
How did your sister get her hair straightener? Because I read your answer.
Because
What?
I lived with her.
Well, what was she doing going into the duffel bag? Was she a thief?
Her and she let me use the straightener before we left to go to
The
her.
duffel bag was, the hair straightener was in the duffel
no,
bag.
No, it wasn't. It was in my bathroom plugged in because right before we left to go hang out with a few of our friends, go back towards her house, we did our hair, so it was left in my bathroom plugged in.
Is
and we
that
turned
correct?
it off.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So now where's the duffel bag?
On my rack in my bedroom because I didn't have a closet. I had a rack with my clothes on it, so it was on the bottom rack.
So who stole her money?
There was no money in it.
Oh, yeah, she's going to show me proof that she took money out.
Oh, I bet she did take money out, but there was no cash in the duffel bag.
How do you know that?
One, because...
How do you know that? Madam, I asked you a simple question. You're giving me all kinds of mumbo-jumbo. How did you know there was no cash in the duffel bag?
Because my friend Sam called me up and said that Beth was calling her up to ask her for cocaine. I was worried about it, and that's when I called her boyfriend. But she was my best friend. If there was cash in her duffel bag, don't you think she would have said something to me when she asked me to bring back the duffel bag?
Not if you had just had a fight.
Okay, well, 3 weeks after, when she actually came and picked it up, she never said one word to my mom or anything about the cash either. I have not heard one thing about cash.
Well,
ever.
when was the first time did you hear about cash?
When I got served, when I found out about
When
this.
was the first time, Miss Whitaker, that you advised anybody that there was cash in that duffel bag?
I had told my mother, and the night that she had called my mother had questioned her about the money in the bag.
Could you stand up, please? Mrs. Whitaker?
Yes.
You spoke to the defendant?
Yes.
When?
The night they had the fight.
Tell me about the conversation.
She called me, actually, to get a number out of Beth's phone that she wanted.
What did she say to you? Tell me what she said.
That's exactly what she said. Can you get a number out of the phone for me?
Whose number was it?
I don't know. I didn't ask her.
Go ahead.
And I said to her, Danielle, what happened to the money? And she launches into this big thing that she didn't even know Beth had any money, and if Beth never told her there was any money. And I said, Danielle, she's been with you for the last 3 or 4 days. You're the only one she's been with. I didn't take her to the bank, so you must have.
What did she say?
She said, well, the only thing I can think of is that I stopped at the grocery store and Beth wanted to wait in the car, and that's when she must have done it. And I said, Danielle, that doesn't make any kind of sense. And she says, well, you know, Beth hasn't been making any sense lately. She's been acting really crazy, and that's what people on drugs do. And she goes on to tell me that we can get her help and that we can get her into rehab. And I said, Danielle, what happened to the money? And Danielle said to me, well, the drug dealer must have it. And I said, well, you must have taken her to the drug dealer because I know I didn't. And then she said, well, I don't know how she got to the drug dealer. And then she says to me that she contacted Beth's boyfriend, Richard. She said that she and Richard had been friends for a long time and she wasn't going to let this come between her, you know, affect her and Richard's friendship. And she said that she called Richard and set up a 3-way conversation, and Beth didn't know that Richard was on the other line. And she said that she confronted Beth about spending the money on drugs, and she said that she just couldn't believe that Beth had spent $800 of Richard's money on drugs. And I said to her, Danielle, how did you know it was $800? And she said, because Richard told me. And I said, Danielle, Richard's in Iraq. He doesn't have a cell phone. You couldn't have called him. Then she said that her mother was trying to call her and she would call me back, and needless to say, I never heard from her again.
You still have the boyfriend in Iraq?
Yes, ma'am.
You have something you want to say to me?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, when she had called, I was there for the conversation, when they had the argument, she came to my house crying, that she was like, I could hear her over the line, she was screaming very loudly at her, like, you know, threatening her. It's like, you need to come back to the house so I can kick you. You know, I'm going to stab you, da-da-da. You know, she came to my house in Iraq. I mean, I couldn't believe, like, what she could probably have said to her to, like, you know,
I
have
can't
her.
believe it either. Now you can sit down. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Did you have that conversation with Mrs. Whitaker?
Some of it, yes.
Sure.
I don't know
Promise
what
not
I
an
didn't
answer.
say to her, but I know what I did say to her. She didn't ask me about an actual amount of money. What she asked was, she told me she found some ATM.
So you knew about the, just a second. So you knew about the money, the missing money, listen to me. So you knew about the missing money the same day as it was missing.
I knew that she said she found withdrawal receipts. So I didn't know anything about the duffel bag, cash being in the duffel bag. She just told me she found withdrawal receipts and said that Beth spent some money. I had no idea there would be money at my house. There couldn't have been money at my house, because there was no conversation about that until obviously now.
No,
Her mom
there
told
was
me
a
that there was-
conversation about it with her mother the same day that it happened. And
But
usually,
it had nothing to do-
yes, it had to do with that money.
Not with my house, though. She called me up and said that she found withdrawal receipts and she wanted to know if I knew anything about it. I told her no, that I never brought her to the bank, and that's all that I knew.
And you didn't discuss with her a 3-way conversation?
No, I don't have her boyfriend's cell phone number.
All I'm asking you is, you didn't discuss a 3-way conversation with her?
No.
No, I don't believe you.
Okay.
How's that?
Elizabeth Whitaker claims former friend Danielle Kahneman stole $800 from her duffel bag. Danielle says Elizabeth spent the $800 on drugs.
Okay. I'm very, very reluctant on circumstantial type evidence when other people have access to property to make a judgment that somebody took property. I'm reluctant to do that because to label somebody a thief, as far as I'm concerned, is a very serious thing. There is no question in my mind that you either took it or know who took the money out of her duffel bag. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
23-year-old Crystal Howell is suing her neighbor, Rory Bays, for money owed on a 1989 Mitsubishi Montero she sold him. Rory claims it was never a legal sale.
Miss Howell, you sold the defendant a used car.
Correct.
For $1,900.
That is correct.
He paid you, according to you, $900, and the understanding was he was going to make payments for the rest, the other $1,000. Within a relatively short period of time, the engine blew up in this car. What year car was it?
It was an '89. However, I would like to point out that at the time he bought the vehicle, he was aware of...
Just don't tell me what he was aware of.
Okay.
You can't tell me what he was aware of.
Can I tell
Unless
you what I told him?
No.
Okay.
What you can do is you can show me a bill of sale.
Yes. Would that
Bill
be
of
the
sale.
title? Or I have a
contract, a bill of sale.
written agreement. There you go.
So this is a 1989 car, which is now 18 years old. And you sold it to him for $1,900. And he says Arblade's is responsible for the purchase of this 1989 Mitsubishi, payments, what the delivery payment was, and how they were supposed to be made, the rest of the payments, when they were supposed to be made. Nothing about the condition of the car, nothing. That's all it says. So you can't tell me what you told him, you can't tell me what he knew, you can't tell me anything else, because anything else should have been in this contract. Do you understand? Law does not permit you to go outside the four corners of this contract. So you were selling him this car. It blew up after him. No, not as is. You did not say that here. Do you understand that? Good. So the car blew up, but that still doesn't relieve you, sir, of the obligation of paying for the car. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Except you say that she didn't have clear title to sell you the car.
No, ma'am, she didn't.
That when the car blew up, you went to try to take it to a salvage for the purpose of, put your hand down, for the purpose of getting some money, so you were going to pay for it.
Correct.
And you didn't have clear title to the car.
Correct.
May I interject?
Yes.
The person that I purchased it for never took his name off the title, which I was unaware of, because the automobile
then
that
he's
I
absolutely right. You did not give him clear title.
But
listen to me.
Automobile dealership that I purchased it from is responsible for transferring the title.
Listen to me. What he's saying is, and he's absolutely right.
I have a copy of the lien right here, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. You did not have clear title to sell him this car.
However, I will say that when I purchased the vehicle, I'd owned that car for 6 years. I purchased it off 3 years before selling it to Rory.
Hugh is the lien holder.
He was the gentleman that I purchased the car from.
Miss Howell,
I owe him no money.
What I'm telling you is you did not give him clear title to this car.
I was unaware of that.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $2,900 to $3,500. I'm not positive of the amount.
Let's say you paid $2,900 for it. You sold it to him for $1,900. You got $900 from him, which means you had the car for 6 years or so, and it cost you $2,000. Do you understand what I'm saying? I feel badly at all dismissing your claim.
But
not at all. Because this agreement that you just gave me is void because you had no right to sell him the car. And I don't care what you put in it in order to maintain it.
He had a brand new motor. May I please call my father as a witness?
Miss Howell.
Yes.
Is he going to tell me that there wasn't a lien on the car?
No.
Then I'm not interested in what he has to say. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed.
21-year-old Jennifer Grunwald and her mother, Deborah, are suing Jennifer's former live-in boyfriend, Ryan Thone, for an unpaid loan to get back on his feet and for stealing software from her computer.
Miss Grunwald, this used to be your boyfriend, and according to the complaint that I read, that is both yours and your mother's, you lived with him for a period of time. When was that?
He moved in May of 2005, and then he moved all of his stuff out by the mid-January of 2006.
Moved out all of his stuff from an apartment that you shared together?
That is correct.
Now, according to this complaint, you took out a loan for him.
That is correct.
And you claim that he hasn't repaid the full amount of the loan, and your mother is here because she says that the two of you paid off that loan together after you broke up. You also claim that he took some software that didn't belong to him when he left.
That is correct.
I don't know what you're angry about that brings you to court 2 years later, but I'm sure you're going to tell me. When did you take out the loan?
I took out the loan in May of 2005.
What was it for?
To pay off the rest of the loan for his car that he was unable to pay off.
What was your car payment, sir?
It was $164 a month. I sold my...
Shh. How many cars did the two of you have when you lived together?
One.
Were you both using your car?
We were using her car.
So When you say you had one car, this car payment was for whose car?
My old car. I sold it before I moved in with her.
Why did you do that?
Because I wouldn't have been able to make payments on my insurance and the car and pay for half of the rent with her.
So you sold that car, but you still had a payoff on the loan.
Yes.
What was the amount of the loan that she co-signed for?
I don't know what the amount was because she took some money out for herself, too, to pay off credit cards.
That, Your Honor, is a lie.
Well, I don't know about that. Let's see what the...
Well, this is strictly for the car payment.
Let me see. Shh. Let me see.
That is the exact amount that I had taken out on the loan.
Okay. Let's see. $1,000. Is that right?
And then there was some interest on it, too. The total was $1,081.56.
How is that correct when I paid off my bank like $980?
The amount she received was $1,000. And how much was the amount you paid off? $986?
Yes.
Well, then maybe she took out $14 and paid her own bills.
That's fine.
Now, you then stayed together 8 months after this loan was taken out.
Yes.
Mr. Thone says that he made payments. It's what he was required to do every month for 9 months. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yes.
Who did you give the money to?
Her.
Your Honor, that's
How?
a lie.
Shh. Did you have a joint checking account?
No, we did not.
Were you working?
Yes, I was.
All the time?
Yes, I was.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
If you say it again, I'm going to dismiss your case and you're going to leave. Do you understand?
I understand.
How much was the rent?
Rent was $292.50 a month.
And you paid half?
Yes, I did.
Who did you pay the money to?
Paid it to Jen, or else I'd write out the check to her landlord.
Okay, so May, first payment is due.
June was the very first payment. June 2005 on the 15th was the first payment that was due.
Okay, I want you to show me that between June 2005 and December 2006 that you personally paid the loan. Looks like that these payments were made regularly.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Each and every month.
Each and every month, right on time.
Right. And he says that while you were together, he gave you the money for these.
He gave me the money for the first 4 months that he had a steady job. After that, it always came out of my account, and he gave me either check or cash. It depended on
Well, how am I supposed to tell the difference between what you paid and what he paid? The first payment is due in June. June, July, August, September. October, November, and December. Then he left in December. So that would be 3 months. Did you pay anything on this loan after you moved out, sir, you say in December?
I paid one more payment in December.
Show me.
I don't have any proof of it.
Well, how could you not have proof, sir?
Because my account was closed down 2 years ago.
See, she's got all of her accounts.
Yes, that's because I paid her with either a check or my cash, and she put it into her account and then paid for it.
No, but I understand what you're saying, sir.
Yes.
So you can get your records. These go back to 2005.
When did she get them?
I don't
were
care
they
when she
printed
got
off?
them. Where are yours?
I don't have them.
In September of 2006 was his last payment, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Why would I not pay the last couple of months that we were together, though?
All you have to do is show me.
Jennifer Grunwald claims ex-boyfriend Ryan Thone owes for an unpaid loan to get back on his feet and for stealing software from her computer.
Show me that you made the payment. It's easy, right?
How can she prove that it was her money and not my money, though?
Because this bank statement is her bank statement.
Yes,
it's
and
in
I
her
was
name.
giving her
it's
money.
in her name. And you're telling me that you gave her money. So all you have to do is show me a check made out to her, which you don't have.
No,
a
ma'am.
bank statement where you took out from an ATM or a cash machine or at the teller $90 on the 15th of every month and gave it to her. Something, sir. So
Well,
I
there
have
was
to make a judgment.
Well, I understand that, but there was some times where I get my check from work, I go to the bank, I cash my check, and I just keep out some of the money for whatever expenses, fine, whatever, and then I give her some of the
She acknowledges
money.
that 4 months' worth of payments you actually made. June, July, August, and September. Can you explain to me why, sir, you think that after all of this time she is pursuing this money if you don't owe it to her?
I have no idea. I know that her dad's business is getting closed down, and he's going back. Maybe they're hard up for cash. I don't know.
I did not that hard up for this cash, sir.
Well, I don't know why they do it after me being without her for a year and a half.
I don't know either, but all I can tell you is the last payment that was made on this account was May of '06. Do you have any proof that you made any payments in May of '06?
No, I do not.
Do you have any proof that you made any payments in April of '06?
I don't have any proof of any payments that I made.
Well, that's a problem, sir. So what do you want me to do for you? What do you want me to do
It's
for
my
you?
word against her word.
No,
She
she
can
has.
say what she
This is
wants.
evidence.
That's fine.
This is evidence.
Okay, well then go back to the first month on June when I paid her. What did that come out of? Did that come out of her
I don't know,
account?
sir, but all I'm telling you is that there were payments made on this account in 2006.
Okay, and I also never signed anything with her either.
April of 2006, when you were no longer together. That's not 2 years ago. That's for you to get whatever account you had and demonstrate that you made any payments on this account. According to you, you weren't even together for 9 months because the first payment was due in June.
I moved out. I was living with a friend.
When did you move out in December?
I got all my stuff out the first couple of days in December because I stayed the
So
weekend
then you wouldn't
before.
even have made December's payment. So you would have June, July, August, September, October, November. That's only 6 months, sir. You swore that you made 9 months worth of payments at $90 each. You want me to show you what you said?
What's that?
What word didn't you understand? I said, do you want me to show you what you said? You said, I made 9 payments of $90 to Jennifer.
Yep.
When? You just told me you moved out the first few days in December. When did you make $90?
May, June, July,
Not
August,
May!
September.
There's no May, sir.
Yes,
Here-
there is. because
No,
I gave
sir,
the
there's
money.
no May.
She took it out in May.
First payment, according to your contract, is due June 15th, 2006.
Okay, contract, but I never signed anything.
Your Honor, I know.
Okay.
And she's a cheater too.
Excuse me?
And kicks people out. Yeah.
I would have kicked you out a long time ago. But get over the software. I don't even want to hear about software.
Okay, Your Honor. Your Honor, I have one more thing to show you.
Go ahead.
I have Ryan's criminal record
I don't have to see his criminal record.
Well,
I
just
was
wanted
under
to prove
18 at that time too.
Can I ask
and
you a
she's
question?
in law enforcement
Can I
right
ask you a
now
question?
too.
What?
So that's probably how she got that. So
You weren't losing that argument.
I
So
know.
why don't you just be quiet?
because I don't think it's right that she took that out.
Sue her.
I'm not going to sue her because I'm over here.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,188. Thank you. That's all.
Crystal Padilla claims the father of her child, James Kern, falsely accused her of abuse to Child Protective Services. She is suing for her attorney fees.
Ms. Padilla, this is your ex-husband. You've been divorced since when?
Our divorce was finalized in November of 2004.
And you have one child together?
Yes.
How old is that child?
He's now 5.
I'd like you to keep your voice up, Ms. Padilla, because I have difficulty hearing you. Not because there's anything terribly wrong with my hearing, but I know that you may be a little nervous. You're speaking softly. You have to speak up like me.
No problem.
Great. Make believe you're yelling at him.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Your lawsuit alleges that Mr. Kern filed false allegations against you with Child Protective Services, forcing you to hire an attorney. You want your attorney's fees back and the expenses that you incurred as a result of defending that litigation. Mr. Kern says he had legitimate concerns over his child, and that's why he made the report. Okay? Do you have other children?
One.
How old?
Same age. A little older by a few months.
Who does that child live with?
Her. I didn't know of his existence till long after he was born. It's quite a story.
Well, it's quite a story, but it has an age-old beginning.
They're 6 weeks apart.
Another 10.
And I assume you've done the appropriate DNA testing and everything else? Paternity testing?
Correct.
So that while you were married, you fathered another child. Is that right?
No, it was before I was married. Before her and I got married, her and I were together. She told me she had an abortion, so we never talked again. Me and her got back together. And then after, actually the day my son Cameron was born, I get another phone call from her saying, oh, guess what?
Do you see that child?
No.
So that there are no other siblings in your house?
No.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
How old are they?
They're 7 and 5.
The 7-year-old is not Mr. Kern's child.
No.
When did you and Mr. Kern separate?
In November of 2002.
So the baby was an infant. Is there any issue as far as custody at that time?
At that time, Mr. Kern left, and Cameron did stay with me. And when we did our divorce papers, we decided to do 50-50 custody. And up until this recent event, we did share 50-50 custody.
When you say 50-50 custody, how did that break down in the week?
We would alternate weeks. 1 week I would have 3 days, he would have 4. The next week I would have 4 days, he would have 3.
So that really required that you live in close proximity to each other.
At the time, I was in Riverside, California, and he was up in Apple Valley, so about an hour away.
So, Mr. Kern, you had your son half the time.
Correct.
But you, I assume, always knew that there would come a time when he went to school and you couldn't have that kind of an arrangement because you can't live an hour away from each other and still do that.
Correct. I offered to put him in private school, and she didn't want that. She lives in Colton.
Just a second. You offered to put him in private school near you.
Correct.
Well, she didn't want him to be at a private school
She
near
wanted
you. Shh, Mr. Kern, because That would mean that she would lose her 50% of the custody time.
Negative.
Sure it would, because if he's in private school near you, of necessity, he has to spend 5 days a week at your house. In any event, she said, no, I want to put him to school where I am, right?
Correct.
She wanted the child to go to school in her location. You wanted the child to go to school in your location, and then the trouble began. So, Mr. Curran, why don't you tell me the timeline from there? She brought papers to you to ask you to sign off so that you could register the child in school.
Yeah, and that if I didn't agree, she wouldn't let me have my son. She was going to leave in the parking lot right then and there. Actually, it started long before that. My son had lots of marks and bruises on him that were questionable. And every time I'd ask her, you know, how did this happen? It was always the same story. Oh, he got it playing with his brother, or he got it fighting with his brother. One February day, she called me, said, hey, you know, he had a bit of an accident. I don't know if I'm going to take him to the hospital or not. I'm just letting you know. I said, okay, do I need to come down there? You know, I'll take him myself. She said, no. He showed up that weekend, and I have pictures right here. He has a complete black eye. He has a gash in his eye.
I'd like to see it.
And these are some other pictures of bruises and marks on him from when he's come from her house. Hand marks, bruise on his shoulder, other marks on his face from different times. And I took those pictures to my attorney, asked them what they think I should do, and that's when I took that to the court.
I wouldn't say a word if I were you. You are no relation to this case.
That's my wife.
I understand exactly who it is, sir. I understand exactly who it is, and if you want the situation with your son to ultimately resolve itself, I would suggest that she let you do the talking. That's the problem. Well, see, black and blue marks on his arms.
I also have a video that I think you need to see that's important in this case.
Oh, this is his leg.
This is just one of 100 times of how he acts when he goes back to his mother. And I think it's very important that you see this video right here.
Sure.
And after my attorney told me, you know, after I took that to court for ex parte.
Don't tell me what your attorney told you, sir. What your attorney told you was hearsay.
All right, here we go, guys.
Cameron, come on, baby. Hey, the sooner you go with your mommy, the sooner I get to come get you and we can do Christmas. Come on, honey. Cameron. Come on, it's time to go with your mommy, honey. Don't do that. Come on. Mommy misses you and she wants to see you. Okay, baby? Come on.
I've seen enough. Turn it off, please.
That's not even the good part. The part where he throws himself on the ground, and I asked, you know, let me talk to him to calm him down. She won't let me. He's banging on the window in her car, you know, screaming for me, and takes off.
I don't understand why you're photographing this.
Well, actually, that was upon her request in the court. She wanted to videotape pickups or drop-offs, so if somebody said something they shouldn't, they could take it to court.
That was at her request?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I have it on the minutes.
I'd like to see it. It's a major concern to me to videotape a child like that. Who's clearly as young as he is, playing for the camera. Well, this just says the parties stipulate that the visitation exchanges may be videotaped and audiotaped.
Yeah, she did that because she accused me of bad-mouthing her when I pick up or drop off my son. So the judge said that we can videotape or audiotape the pickup or drop-offs. And they...
Just a second. Then she didn't ask for it. She accused you,
and we
Mr.
went to
Kern.
court. Her
Mr.
attorney
Kern,
said,
listen to me. I'm really big on two parents getting involved and being integral parts of their children's lives, fathers and mothers. I think it's really important. And I don't know which one of you is a better custodial parent. I really don't know. Sounds to me as if you adore him.
It's my life.
And it sounds to me, based upon the answer that you submitted to me, that you legitimately feel that you are a more fit custodial parent. Maybe. But I'm telling you what I'm seeing. The injuries that you've shown me here are nothing compared to what my kids had when they were growing up.
But if your kid came
broken
on his face or something,
broken
would you not be
arms,
concerned?
jumping off the beds with their siblings, banging heads, getting hit in the face with a lacrosse stick. All kinds of things happen to children, especially children who have a close-in-age sibling.
But then where's the supervision?
Excuse me?
If something like that happens to his face because he was fighting with his brother, where was the supervision?
Can't supervise children all the time, Mr. Kern. What planet are you living on, sir?
This one. These things don't happen at my house. I have 2 full-grown German Shepherds. He has his own bike. He has everything in the world a kid could ever want.
Kern,
and these things don't happen in my home.
Mr. Kern, what you don't have in your house is another child. The only issue in this case, as far as I'm concerned, is do these pictures of marks on the child give him sufficient reason for him to have placed a call to Child Protective Services to investigate?
I never called Child Protective Services. I just filed an ex parte hearing saying, you know, for my concerns About those marks. I never called CPS not once.
Just a second. So you filed a proceeding, an ex parte proceeding, for what?
To get custody of my son so we could find out what was going on. I have letters here from a psychotherapist.
Just a second. So you had 50-50 custody, and based upon these photographs, you went to court through your attorney and filed an ex parte order seeking physical custody full-time of your child based upon these photographs.
And letters from a psychotherapist that interviewed my son to find out where the marks were coming from, which I have these right here as well.
So while the child was with you, in addition to taking these photographs, you took him to a psychologist.
Yeah, upon my attorney's advice.
Listen, Mr. Kern, I was there for 25 years. I know exactly what's going on, sir. I know precisely what's going on. Now, when did you file your ex parte proceeding, sir?
End of April '06.
And when did Ms. Padilla tell you that she wasn't going to allow you to enroll the child in private school in your area?
She served me on my first wedding anniversary, which is March 12th, '06, and that's where the court papers began.
Just a second. So in March of '06, Ms. Padilla served you with papers seeking what?
That she wanted him to go to school in her area, which is Colton.
So she served you with papers in March of '06. And in April of '06, you saw an attorney, brought photographs, and at that point filed your own ex parte order for of custody based upon allegations of abuse. Is that right?
According, yes.
I'm getting the timeline here.
Upon my attorney's advice.
That wasn't his first response to my petition. His original response noted nothing of physical abuse.
Okay. Then he took these pictures that he had been saving up and storing up since December of 2005.
That's not true. On my first response, noted a lot of things. The fact that she lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with her sister and her 2 children, with her other son and my son. My son coming to my house telling me he sleeps on the couch with his brother while she sleeps in her room with her boyfriend.
Mr. Kern, how much support do you pay for that child support?
Which one?
That lady's child.
$250. $250.
$250 or what?
A month.
Pay it every month?
Nope.
So you don't pay child support?
Not every month. Sometimes I get behind on bills and stuff. I can't make the payment.
He hasn't paid in over 3 years.
Yes, I have.
I'm getting there. And how much child support do you pay now for this child?
I believe it was $400 a month if she took him to school. I let my employer have the information, and I don't think they've started that yet.
So how much do you pay her?
$400 a month or something like that.
$400. Well, the employer hasn't started deducting it from your salary yet, so how much do you give her every month?
Nothing.
Why?
Because if I give it to her, she'll never report it.
But in between the time that the child support order takes place, sir, and they start with the income deduction order, months could go by before that happens. So how do you expect your child to be supported? Okay, so now you have 2 children, and if I am correct, from what you tell me, Mr. Kern, who you want me to believe you're father of the year, you have 2 children for whom you are currently paying 0 child support. And this from a man who said, I want to put my son in private school near me.
I had 50% custody at the time.
No, listen to me. Listen to me. This is from a man who said, I want to pay for private school. And now you tell me that you have 2 children, 5 years old, for whom you are currently paying nothing in child support.
That's not every month. Just because she hasn't received hers yet, that's the child support agency, not my fault. I'm not going to give it to her and have her deny it.
You got where we're going? He thinks he's a step ahead of me. I was there for 25 years, Mr. Kern. I know exactly what's going on. Exactly. Well, let's finish the scenario. You went to court. You had a lawyer. Did you have a lawyer?
On the Monday, I went to...
Just answer my question. Did you have a lawyer?
On our next court date, we did.
And the child's custody was immediately transferred to the father. Is that right?
Pending.
Just answer my question.
Yes.
For how long did Mr. Kern have custody?
Until May 17th of 2006.
And then what happened?
That was our original court date, and we went to mediation.
When you went back to mediation, was a forensic expert assigned to the case?
No.
We were assigned to do a 7:30 evaluation.
And what was the name of the therapist who was doing the evaluation?
Dr. Michael.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. So as a result, I assume, at least in part of the forensic evaluation, the court determined that the custody arrangement that you originally agreed to was not workable. Correct. Is that right? And ultimately, primary physical custody was ordered to you.
Yes, it was.
And the court granted you visitation 3 weekends a month. Is that right?
Big drop from having them half the time, huh?
Absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. You're supposed to try to work things out. You're supposed to be smart enough to know that whatever custody arrangement you make when a child is 2 is not going to be able to hold true when the child is 6 or 8 or 10 or 12. And you're supposed to be able to work with each other. And just because you got angry that she wasn't going to allow you to have your way...
How's that right? These pictures started being taken in December, beginning of December, when she filed in March. Something, magically appeared some pictures in December.
Kern,
These are concerns I've had for a while.
Either that, sir, or you don't understand what it's like to be a 5-year-old with a 7-year-old sibling, with a black and blue mark on the knee, with a scratch above the eye, with a black and blue mark on the hand, with scrapes across the face. It happens. And nothing that I read in this report suggested, absolutely nothing, that your child complained that any of those marks were as a result of his mother's actions.
I have some other letters here that you should read then.
Absolutely.
There is also a section about her in the 730 evaluation, the psychotherapist that wrote the letters that he's showing you now. And nowhere in that report does he say, my mommy hits me, my mommy beats me.
No, but it does talk about domestic violence, about how her boyfriend hits her and she hit him back.
Listen,
and that's from what he's seen.
The problem, Mr. Kern, is that you really are going to have to back off in interfering with what goes on in her house.
If your child sees domestic violence, should I not be concerned?
What I'm telling you is you have to back off as to what goes on in her house. You're not supposed to ask your son anything about what goes on in her house.
The therapist asked him that.
I didn't say the therapist. I said you're not supposed to ask him anything about what goes on in his house. And she's not supposed to ask him anything about what goes on in your house. You're both supposed to assume that each of you love him and want to take care of him and want to protect him and do the right thing. That's what you're supposed to assume. And you, Mr. Kern, are supposed to pay child support for that child, for this child, who you now don't have in your custody. I mean, I read the report, and the report indicated that when this forensic evaluation was done, your son says you don't work, and you're home all the time.
No, I'm a contractor, so I choose my own hours.
That's what he says. He says, my father doesn't work.
Well, I make sure I'm home when he's there.
I'm telling you what your son says, sir.
And I know what he says, and I'll make
His son says,
it to you.
my father doesn't work. Well, that's not a good thing for a child to even think that his father doesn't work. That's what he said. Told the
Well, that's
therapist,
because he's
my
5
father
years old. He thinks a magic wand pays the bills. Just because I go out of my way to make sure I'm home when he's there so we can spend time together. I work when he's not with me.
If you have him with you 4 days a week, sir, you should be working
It's
part
not
of that
4
time.
days a week.
That's what you told me.
I'm not home
You told
4
me
days
that
a week.
you
It
had
could be 3 days a week,
50-50
1 week.
custody.
It could be 3 1 week. It could be 2 if my
Mr.
wife's
Kern,
off.
you got an
she
answer
watches
for
him.
everything, sir. What you're asking me for is counsel fees. That's what you're asking me for.
Right.
Counsel fees. And I'm not granting those because he went to an attorney. I just want you to think about this. He went to an attorney and sought the advice of counsel who represented him when you filed an application to terminate the 50-50 custody arrangement. So you filed the petition first. He had to hire a lawyer. And he just said, I'd rather be on the offensive rather than on the defensive because that's his temperament.
Well, he didn't consult an attorney first. He stated that my father told him to take me to court.
No, I didn't.
He went, listen, did he have an attorney representing him?
At the ex parte hearing, he did, yes.
Did he have the attorney representing him in the case that you filed?
No.
I'm talking about the original date in May, because that you said was the original court date you had on your application. Did you have an attorney or not?
Yes.
I believe he had an attorney. His attorney started the process, so the attorney had necessity had to be with him. You don't get your counsel fees. It's unfortunate that both of you spent your money on legal fees, but you don't get your counsel fees, just like he doesn't get his. But he's better start to pay child support.
They can't find any child support because I've received a 2-cent check since the child support was ordered.
That is not true.
Well,
here you go.
If he doesn't pay the child support order, what I'm going to suggest you do is go to the court and ask to have his driver's license suspended. You too. The first thing that states have to do under federal guidelines is license. And as a contractor, he needs that. Otherwise, his wife is going to have to drive herself to work and him to work. Don't let him get away without paying child support. That's his obligation as a parent, to you and to you and to your children. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Your case is dismissed. He's not required to pay your counsel fees. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.